Hi guys, and welcome back to another fly tying tutorial. What you see in the vise is a culmination of a Hawthorn pattern and a Sedge-Hog. So I call it the Hawthorn. I hope you like it, and without further ado, let's get into it. The hook in the vise then is a Hanak H230 barbless hook. This one's at size 10, it's on a medium wire and finished in black nickel. The thread I'm going to be using today is from Semperfli. This is the Nano silk. It's black, it's at 20D or 24/0 if you like. Now the reason I'm using this is I've run out of 50D. That's the only reason. If I had 50D, that's what I'd be using. But needs must, I'm going to use this at the moment until I can resupply my thread. Okay, first thing I'm going to do, as always with the Nano silks, is get a little bit of super glue onto the shank. Only the tiniest bit, that's all you need, and then you can use your thread to spread it up and down the shank before catching on and getting a few turns in. Now as you can see, it's not particularly pretty at the moment. With it super thin thread, I've obviously missed quite a bit of the shank, but I've got enough on there as to provide a bed of thread. Then I can come in with my scissors and simply remove my rat's tail. Now the first thing I'm going to do is tie in a kind of tail if you like. Now this is a coastal deer hair patch and it's been dyed black. Now I got it originally for tying large dry stoneflies, but I've found it quite useful for this pattern. There's lots of hawthorn about at the moment. Even on the large reservoirs, I've seen hawthorn on the water. They'll be rife on the rivers as well. There'll be plenty around. Now with this deer hair, you've got to comb it out. It's one of the essential things. You can see how much of the fluff and wool, and what that does, if you don't comb it out, it prevents your deer hair from stacking properly. So I'm going to pop that in the stacker and then just use my vise to get it stacked. Pop it out. Now some people don't bother with this, they'll just take a little bit, but I like it to be quite precise. So what I'm looking for is only about a centimetre of the tail there, so I don't want it to protrude too far past the bend of the hook. And I'm going to get a pinching loop initially, and because I'm using such thin nano silk, which please, if you are going to attempt this pattern at home, don't be worrying about getting it super thin. Use 50D, it's much stronger and it's well thin enough. So I'm just going to remove my excess, and before I go on, I'm just going to tidy that excess up slightly. Doesn't need to be overly tidy, because what I'm going to do next is come in with some African goat. This one's from Nature Spirit. Now you can use, if you've got seal's fur, please use seal's fur. African goat's as near a substitute as I can find at the minute. Semperfli do a seal's fur substitute, which I cannot find for love nor money, so I'm reduced to African goat. It's okay, it's not quite as good as seal's fur, but it will do a job for me for the sake of this tutorial. So alternatives, seal's fur or the Semperfli seal's fur substitute. So I'm just getting a little bit of dubbing onto my thread there, and I'm going to get 2 or 3 wraps pretty much on top of each other, like so. And before I move on, I'm just going to tease out some of that goat. What I would say about the African goat is it's a lot easier to work with than seal's fur. Then I'm going to repeat the process with my deer hair, and it's going to get a little bit repetitive, this part, because I do this 2 or 3 times, so apologies if I'm boring you I could tell you a funny story, but I can't think of one right now. So I'm just combing out the deer hair again, and I'm going to stack that in the stacker. Like so. And what I might do actually is index this video so that you don't have to sit through the same process. Now, next, when I'm bringing this in, I want it to be just about 2/8 of an inch or 4mm if you like, back from the tail. So I'm going to catch that in there, pinch and loop, pull it in, then again we can come in and remove our excess. We'll give that a little tidy up. Now, although this video is quite long and it seems to take a while, when you get going on this, it's actually quite a quick fly to tie once you've got the hang of it. So back with the African goat. And we're going to just get a bit of that in, pull it back. Again, we'll come in with a dubbing brush just to tease some of that out. And again, back to our deer hair. And we're going to comb that out as best we can for stacking purposes. So I'm just loading up my stacker, please bear with me. And then I'm going to lay that on. Again, I'm going to come back about 1/4 of an inch or 4mm if you like. From there, get a pinch and loop over, get that stuck into place, come up and just remove your excess. Try and keep my fingers out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. Like so. Okay, so something a little bit different this time. I'm going to tidy up my cut ends just to make my life a little bit better. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Next, I'm going to invert my vise. And what I want to do is take some of these pre-tied legs that comes along with some extra dubbing and I'm going to tie them in from the bottom. Now I'm taking a good half a dozen. I don't think trout can count, so I'm not overly worried about how many legs I've got or how many legs I've not got. I don't think it's a big factor. The more I put in, the longer the fly lasts, because once fish start taking it, the brittle pheasant tail tends to snap away. So I've got that tied in. I can come in with my scissors and remove my waste. I can bring the vise back round. Hawthorns is a chunky meal for a trout, so it's well worth having this kind of fly or another Hawthorn type pattern in your armoury. I've just found a little bit of this on my bench. I'm not going to waste it, so I'll tie this in as well. Like so. Okay, so the wings. The Hawthorns have got quite a distinctive light wing, and what I'm going to use to give that effect is some Semperfli poly yarn. This is the cream one. I'll just cut a strand off. Now it comes as quite a thick strand. Now sometimes this can be too thick for posts or whatever. you can simply strip out what you don't wish to have in your length. I mean, I want quite a thick one here, and how I'm going to do it is I'm going to lay it alongside the shank and get one turn on. Now when you've got an awkward material that you want to try and manipulate to your will, getting it onto the hook is one of the key things that you can do to help yourself out. Now I don't want this to meld into one wing, so what I want to do is separate the two wings with a figure of 8 over the wings. I don't know what this is going to look like on camera because I can see that big white wing starting to annoy me already. So I'm just going to, once I've got it just how I want it, I'm going to slick it back to the sides. Now this side, by pure fluke, is almost to the length I want it. Just going to take a little bit of tidying up. And the other one, I'm going to try and get it to about the same length. Oh, some of the white materials just escaped me there. I'll come in after that. So I've just got that to the side. Now it might not look right yet, but it's going to come good. You just got to trust me, guys. So I'm just tidying that up, making sure it's going to go nowhere. Now I've got my wings sitting where I want them. I'm going to just get a little bit more of the goat and dub that on, just to hide really the bits where I've tied the wings in. I don't want that big white chunk showing, especially from underneath. And I'll show you the profile of this in a minute. So I'm going to bring all that back out the way, and I've got to leave a little bit of room for my wing. Now before I go on, again, it never hurts to get the dubbing brush in and just tidy up that front bit. So I'm back again to my deer hair, and I'm going to take a small amount of that off, and again I'm going to go through the process of combing it out. Now if I was of a mind to, I could save this as dubbing, but I'm feeling quite generous today, so I'm going to throw it away. But it makes quite nice dubbing actually on certain patterns. A lot of people don't like working with deer hair. I don't really mind it. It's like everything else. If you practice, you become more and more proficient. Now when I lay this up, I want it to be just the same length as my wings here at the side. So I'm going to lay it on, and then I can get a pinching loop in at the front, a few turns to lock it into place, get a few turns in front. Now keeping a hold of your waist, you can come in from above and just carefully remove that waist. Now the cut ends I want to come through and lock down. Just give it a little tidy up at the front. And to finish the fly, last but not least, is a little bit more of the African goat or seal's fur, or whatever poison you've chosen to tie your fly with. You can see there's little speckles of red in there, which I quite like. Now obviously the advantages of using this super thin thread is that I can make a non-existent head at the front, but 50D is more than ample to do the same. Now I'm going to add a little bit of super glue to my thread, because what I don't want to do is go in afterwards and try and add head cement or varnish or UV resin for that matter to the fly. So I'm going to try and pull everything back out the way. 4 turns of the whip finish tool. Then I can come in with my scissors and remove that. Now to get the final look, if you like, I can pull out, tease out some of that African goat at the front, and that looks amazing. I'm just going to show you the footprint, and that's my version of the Hawthorn, if you like, or whatever you want to call it. I've not got a name really, it's just but the profile's right. You can see that, and you know that when the fish looks up, it's looking up at something very similar to a Hawthorn fly on top of the river or the reservoir. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed this one, I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy this video here and also this video here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.